I think we're live. Hello? Are we here on the
Oh, my
internet?
audio is going to be super borked.
It is. It's going to be borked, and the only way that I can fix that is to get feedback from whoever's watching. Wow, my lighting is atrocious at the moment. I'm going to turn the light on. 2 secs. Hyper professional.
I've also just put myself on push to talk, which just seems like a sensible move.
Let's try that.
Audio seems okay.
Seems alright. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, it's okay. I've also put myself on push to talk, by the way, so I will forget.
Yep.
Because your girl does not use push to talk ever.
I mean, I'm very much the same. The amount of times I only ever have to use it occasionally on Friday sessions, and the amount of things that I've missed because I forgot about my push to talk and nobody heard me. And I was like, no, I said I was gonna do a
Same.
thing.
It's also like, because I normally have like a click button to unmute my normal headset, which I will be back to. I do that with that, let alone anything else. This one has like an actual switch, but for whatever reason, even in the off position, it like transmits a static, which is just
Yeah, it's just giving off an electric
no
signal.
use.
Excuse me.
Okay, time for me to open some things. I think I know what I'm gonna work on. It will be an interesting thing to work on, but we're gonna try it. Some of it might involve some scavenging. In fact, that might be my warm-up, is scavenging. Because there are lots of things I've already written for this, like that I wrote and that could go into this, that I need to assemble, but they are across like my phone notes, my various notebooks. I'm gonna be doing some poetry.
Poetry.
I'm doing some poetry. Because I, for various reasons that I will not go into on the stream, indignantly reminded someone the other day that I am in fact a poet. And and it reminded me, I also, I might grab it, my ongoing segment of talking about various books on the stream.
Please do. We always love our weekly book club.
It would be a book club if I ever finished any of them. For reference of where I've been at mentally, this is Out of Time Poetry from a Climate Emergency.
Out of touch.
And I go one of two ways with books about the climate emergency. I either go very quickly into despair, or like it reminds me that we're gonna be kind of okay in a weird way.
Yes.
I like this one because it's segmented into like essentially the stages of grief, which is helpful for me because I'm definitely in the middle of it. But there's some gorgeous poetry from poets I really love in here, and it's really reminded me that there's some good shit out there. Because I don't read a lot of poetry. I listen to a lot of poetry, but I don't read a lot of poetry because I rarely find anthologies that I like. I'm very picky. But yeah, I really, really love this. There's some gorgeous ones on here. There's some fun stuff with format in here as well that isn't too like overbearing. I find a lot of poetry that plays with how it's set out is really like actually difficult to read at a certain point, but this has some that are presented that way.
Oh, okay.
Which is like a nice simple change that affects how you read it, but it isn't obtrusive, which is nice. Same with ones that are like this. There's one in here somewhere that you can read both backwards and forwards.
Whoa,
which
that's
is
tricky.
And it's not a short one. I've read a few like that before, but they're normally pretty short. But this one, I'll see if I can find it. It's very long. Yeah, it's a palindrome. There it is. Fence and repetition to a history of climate change. Is that what it's called? Or is that a source? I can't remember. Hang on a minute. Yeah. Yeah, that is what it's called. It's called Fence and Repetition, A History of Climate Change by... Oh, no, I'm going to do this name a disservice. It's a really nice name, but I'm not going to be able to say it. Karini Baraka, I think is how you say it. But it's that long, and it has like 3 different styles in one poem, and you can read the whole thing backwards and forward, and it makes sense.
Jesus, that is a feat of linguistics.
That craft is what that is. Yeah, this is a poem by Fiona Benson, who did a poetry anthology called Vertigo and Ghost, which is harrowing, but I really loved it, which I wrote about in my dissertation, I think, because it's about Greek mythos and Zeus in particular. But yeah, she wrote a poem in here called Blue Morphocrypsis, and then it's a type of butterfly, but it has the Latin name, which I'm not going to try and say, but it's it sure is a poem. I won't read them for obvious reasons, but my 2 favourite in here for anyone who's watching who wants recommendations is Nautical Almanac by Anthony Anaxagoro, I think is how you say that surname. Wow, that's the first surname with a symbol with an X in it. Oh, and then there isn't a D&D character anyway. And then the other one, I think it's just called Cassandra, but I will try and find it. Yeah, it's called Cassandra the Second End by Sasha West. This is a lovely poem. Oh. Yeah, I'll read you the end of this one, because I can't help myself. The same hand redirects our gaze from the pain as from the paradise. The winters were beautiful and gentle. We gathered people to shelter. What animal or law could hold me back while we worked to rush the world back to joy? It's so pretty!
And it was 100% ruined by the me music coming on.
Shit.
I'm so sorry. Literally,
No,
literally halfway through, it was just ba ba da ba ba da ba ba.
That's poetry right there. But yeah, all of that was like a massive tangent into that. It's got me thinking about poetry anthologies again. But I had an idea to how to construct, I guess, a poetry anthology, and I was like, wait, I have some of the pieces for this already.
Ooh.
So I'm gonna start trying to assemble it, and then seeing what comes of it, because I've come up with like 8 different structures for a poetry anthology and not had enough poetry to fill it.
Feel it, yeah.
So I'm gonna put some time into this and see if it's one of those things where if I put some time into it, I'm like, no, I'm just gonna bail on this, or if I put some time into this and I find I really like it.
Hmm.
I have already started assembling some because I have a lot of just like notebooks like this that just have whole poems in them. Okay, I've got to find a way to turn off Google's auto caps just for this document, because if it keeps doing that, I'm gonna lose my shit really fast. I'm assuming you're more working on the Talamara.
Yes.
What a naming convention that we went for.
The file is called Mara and Tala's Talk. That's the name of the file.
What a sensitive way to put that. They're just having a friendly chat. They're catching up over coffee.
Call me when you get back, darling. I enjoy our talks. It's like, what?
Oh god. I have found the setting, and it is document specific, which is beautiful.
Nice.
In fact, they treat it as a font, more or less. They're like, I want all of this to be lowercase. Beautiful.
Oh yeah.
What playlist am I going to listen to? Because I'm listening to Pyre's playlist right now, and I'm going to be honest, Pyre has not been helping matters recently.
Oof.
I have been thinking about that boy non-stop, and I don't have anywhere for him to go. He just lives rent-free in my brain forever, 24/7. And I love him. I want to play him so bad. I've been watching so much Dimension 20 adjacent stuff. I've really got an itch to like, oh, I might also do this stream. Let's see how this goes first. I really want to like look into other tabletop RPG systems.
Oh.
I just want to look at some of them.
I don't actually know what system it is they're playing because I just naturally assumed that it was a D&D game.
I think it depends which one. The Misfits and Magic is using specifically like a magic school. That is really interesting actually. I can't remember. I literally just heard Abria say it because they uploaded the first episode of Misfit and Magic to YouTube. I literally just heard her say it and I don't remember. But basically what it is, instead of having stats, so you have like a standard set of D&D dice minus the percentile, and each stat is a different die.
Oh.
So if your like highest stat is what's it called? Fight. Just fight and flight are one, two different ones. If your highest stat is fight, it just means you're rolling a d20 for when you make a check with that. All the way down to a d4.
Oh. That is a big min-max system then.
Yeah. but it has exploding dice. So if you roll the highest number, you roll it again and keep adding.
Okay, that's fun. That's fun.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And then they also have, if you're using a spell, I can't tell if you. I haven't watched enough of it yet to know if you roll a stat and then add a d6, or whether the d6 is just always the dice for magic.
Right.
I will watch more and get back to you on that. But yeah, that's really interesting. I'm really curious. I think Crown of Candy, which is the one I really want to watch, because I've watched when you've watched so many clips from something, you've basically watched it.
Yeah.
I am like that with Crown of Candy. I will, as a DM, by the way, I will never top that show. Nothing. I think that's the pinnacle of my style of DMing, and Brandon Lee Mulligan's already done it. But I think that's just D&D. I don't know what they use for Fantasy High, but I'm very curious to know. But yeah. I want to have a snoop around. I'm curious now. I'm curious because now I've heard that and I'm like, oh, that sounds really cool. That's a really cool way of doing it. Because I've been thinking about Dragon Age today. I have the Dragon Age RPG rulebook, so I might have a look. I know it's a D6 based system. I would assume it's pretty similar to like Fate.
So yeah, well, there's Fate Core and there's Fate Accelerated.
Yeah, but they're both D6 systems, right?
They're both. They're not they're D6s in the sense that it's a 6-sided die, but Fate has different marks on it. Has plus and minuses on it.
Oh yeah. Right.
It's two a plus, 2 a minus, and 2 a blank. So you roll. I think your stat determines how many you roll, but you can obviously roll like 2 pluses and a negative. So it's like your cumulative score was 1.
Right. Yeah, I'm a little curious.
Misfits and Magic utilizes the Kids on Brooms system.
Kids on Brooms, that's what it's called. It's literally just a tabletop RPG system for Magic schools.
Sure looks like it.
And they have an extra one for Misfits and Magic. They have an extra homebrew rule, which is called the Common Sense Die, or the common fucking sense die. Which is every time there's a magical problem and they use just like a modern solution to fix it, they roll with a d6 automatic. So like, if there's a solution where you could just Google something, they can do that.
That's
like
it's... Okay, I found this out by literally going Dimension 20 wiki, because I was like, if it's like Critical Role, there'll be a wiki page for it. So there was, and literally the front page was like, here's all the different games, and I clicked on Misfits and Magic, took me to the page, and it has the little, the little wiki sidebar where it's like...
all the other ones?
Yeah. And it was like, Season 9, Campaign Type, Dimension 20 Chronicles, System Kids on Brooms. Underneath that, it says Genre, and it says Harry Potter ripoff, but hella inclusive.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yes. Fuck Tufts.
Fuck Tufts. Amen.
4 episodes. Air date.
Yeah, it's only 4 episodes. I thought it was 8, but EXU is 8.
Yeah.
Therefore, they finished.
Yeah. 30th of June to the 21st of July. Total run time 9 hours and 45 minutes. So 10 hours of watch time.
I'll watch that in a day.
Yeah.
Very tempted.
Yeah.
I probably won't do it. Yes. I probably won't do it now. But if hypothetically I happen to have a little bit of free time in the future for any particular reason, I'm legit thinking of doing like the Dropout free trial, watching all of Misfits and Magic, and watching all of Crown of Candy. But we'll see. I think Crown of Candy's so long. But yeah, I'm obsessed with that show and I've never watched it.
Yeah, you remember when I tried to make my own RPG system for Agco?
I do. You were doing very well with that.
Yeah, I suppose I actually kind of was. I think I was at the point where like I kind of wanted it to be tested, but then like lost.
But testing that shit's hard.
I kind of lost steam with it. Hi, Des. Yeah, because I was like, I want to try to keep it simple because this was early D&D games, and I was like, I know not everybody knows how to play D&D, so I was trying to simplify it, and I was like, you only need D6s. So I was trying to be like, I tried to use.
We've all grown so much since then.
I wanted it to be only D6s, and I wanted it to use the stats that we already had made, because AJ made that stat wheel
Oh, Mace-Lips.
Mace-Lips, yeah. So the system I'd come up with was basically whatever your number is in the stat is the number of dice you roll for the check.
I remember.
But then I was like, but some people have got 9s and 10s. That's a ridiculous range. Because people who have 1s and 2s, it's like you're going to be getting people who are rolling.
my 1 in luck is sweating.
I also had a 1 in luck, I believe.
Yeah, same reasons, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. So it was like you're going to have dice rolls ranging from literally 2 to potentially like in the 40s, and I was like, that gets ridiculous in D&D, but only because you can get silly modifiers. But when you're having to add up 9 dice, that's on every roll.
Yeah,
it's like, you know, I appreciate wizards. I appreciate
my brain's tapping out just thinking about it.
I know that wizards have to do that if they cast like Meteor Storm, but they only have to do it once.
And also, it's a power move.
Yeah.
So you get your friend to lean over and count for you.
Yeah, so I was like, fundamentally, I was like, maybe I should change this, but I couldn't think of a way. I was trying to think, I still wanted to use the Mace-Lips stat, so I was like, do I do a D&D thing where I convert the number into another number, where it's like, if you have a 10, that converts to a 5, or so, and eventually I stopped.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to mess with.
I think it was also the fact that because
we also weren't late.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Everything is on time today. I think it was also a mixture of that because it was purely going to be online. I was not only trying to make the system, but I was simultaneously trying to code it into Roll20.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and that was also causing me headaches, so I think that might have been the primary reason I stopped. Because I had to try to code it to be like, if this number equals 6, roll 6 dice. It was not working. Not anymore. Not anymore.
But yeah, I'll have to go and maybe I will investigate that this stream. I'm actually gonna double check that I do actually have that rulebook still. The additional question: do I still have it, and where did I save it? I still have it. I have my own folder for it because I was seriously thinking about running it at one point.
I have still got a Fate folder for Hack Arcana.
Yeah, a rulebook I never read.
I committed.
I played.
I committed. I bought a physical copy of the book, which I then never read.
Yeah.
No, that's a lie. I did flick through it.
Yeah, I know you. We talked about that extensively. You can't lie to me.
Well, the thing was as well is that I was kind of interested in using Fate potentially for the Edgeco system because I was like, it's primarily a roleplay system, so we don't need numbers too much necessarily. And I think at one point I was on the verge of going, fuck it, let's use Fate. But again, I came around to the fact of like, well, we have these game stats that I want to use. And then, frickin' 5 years later, we come back and Spook's making D&D homebrew that is so out of there. I look at it and I go, "Hun, you're on the verge of creating a new game, not making D&D homebrew." he was like, "I want to make changes to the combat system, and I want to add new styles of fighting." And then today he's like, "I think the initiative system is dumb, so I want to make a new system for that." And then he was like, I disagree with how casters are represented, so I want to change that. And I was like, you're literally
right. He's making his own game.
Yeah, and I was like, this sounds dope as hell, I love it, but you're on the verge of just making your own game. Maybe we should just commit and do that. Because it sounds sick. such as big boss monsters should be able to have multiple initiatives in order to make them more of a threat.
Oh.
Instead of having legendary actions, you just let them have,
multiple turns.
Because they're boss monsters. Because at the end of the day, 5e is built around action economy, so if someone has more actions, they are more dangerous.
Take a shot, everybody.
Yeah.
Someone just said the sentence people say about 5e.
Action economy! That's why legendary actions exist. And again, changing around initiative, because if you have a big bad evil guy who does a monologue for 10 minutes and then rolls a 1 on initiative, everybody hits them, and then the DM goes, well, they're on half health, so they're going to run away now.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
I saw that sound! That was the most expressive sound!
I wouldn't know anything about that as a DM.
Yeah, so he was like, kind of like what the ranger did, where it was, they could add their wisdom to their dex, and he was like, maybe you could use your dex or your wisdom, because dexterity is your physical reaction time, but wisdom is your mental reaction time. That way spellcasters can still react quickly even if they've got a dump stat in dex.
Interesting.
Yes. He also thought, instead of having just like a flat initiative modifier, it might limit the roll to being like you add a d6.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is the sort of things that he thinks about and talks about.
Honestly, the dream. Interesting. This system, I'm gonna put this away for a second, but I just had a quick glance just to see what it ran off of. This is it is a d6 system. It's also a stunt die system.
Stunt?
If you've ever encountered them, I have encountered these because I remember
haven't heard of stunt. No, the dice that Fate use are called fudge die, I believe.
Yeah. So in this, when you do an ability check, you roll 3d6. One of which is called a dragon die, but it's also a stunt die, I've heard it called, which is like pizzazz points if it's like other systems. I haven't read far enough, but like this is the check, and then this is for pizzazz.
Okay.
It's mostly there just to see if you get a 6. If it's like other systems that are, I realized I have the player's guide, but I don't have the DM's guide of this, so I'm gonna have to dig that out. But yeah, as above, you roll 3d6, add them together. If you're making an ability test, you must ensure 2 of these dice are one color and the third is a different color, or you just allocate them. Third die is known as the dragon die. It's important. The result of the dragon die can determine your level of success and allow you to perform stunts. I think it's one of those things where there's like a tier between 1 and 5, and then 6 is like crit success. You can do something extra special with it.
I believe that's reminiscent of how Fate words it.
So yeah, I've definitely encountered other systems that do this kind of thing. I think Huntsgrave was one, but yeah, I will have a look at this later. I was just curious what it used.
Yeah, but as I said when the spook getting into it, it was like, well, if I change this initiative system the way I'm picturing it, I'd basically have to rewrite every monster because it would be on a per monster basis. Because it's like, trash-like goblins don't need it, but things like a dragon does, but then you also need to get rid of the legendary actions so that it's not OP.
And then you would have a hierarchy within that of like how many extra
and I was like, if you're going to rewrite the entire monster manual, you're just making a new game at this point.
Yeah.
And because obviously we all really like Monster Hunter because it's a very well thought out combat system. If that game does anything well, it is combat. He wants to bring back making cool shots because he likes the idea of breaking parts like in Monster Hunter. So it's like, you break the wing so it can't fly away, or it does less damage with its wing. You cut off its tail and it loses its tail attack. But if that's a mechanic, then all of the parts of the monster have to have damage thresholds, which means it has to be on a somewhat monster by monster basis. Not quite, so you can have like a quadrupedal category and things like that, humanoid category for like cutting off limbs and things. But yeah, it's like that's a lot of rewriting, and he wants to weave a lot of his homebrew together. So he's like, I want to utilize the new weapon system that I'm making, and that's when I went, well, again, if this is homebrew for D&D, then you need to assume that people are going to use these individual homebrews separately. So you've got to write this assuming people are using base D&D, not assuming that they're using your alternate rules for fighting, unless you just make a new system. Which there's nothing wrong with, because Pathfinder did it.
But also, yeah, there's some stellar, like, other systems out there. That's part of why I'm curious about them. Like, yeah, you should fucking go for it. Just make a whole new system. Because then, the minute you're like, well, this isn't... Because it's one thing to embark on it and be like, I've changed a couple things to make it better for, like, the way I run D&D. But then if you get to a point where you're like, fuck it, why am I shackling myself to D&D when I could just make my own system? I can imagine the amount of things that would go off in his brain. Of like things that he wished were in the thing and weren't. Because he's that kind of person.
Yep, that is how he is. Likes a good mix of the fantasy and the realism. What are you doing?
Is it a kitter?
What are you doing? Just walked a circle. Are you just gonna walk a circle and leave again? Baby Goku. Yeah.
My dog has started learning what time I get home, by the way.
Oh no.
I come home, and I'm only in the office some certain number of days a week. But I'll like get up to the door and I'll literally see her in the corridor just sitting, looking at the glass out the door.
Oh,
And I'm
no.
like, Phoebe, you're gonna kill me.
Oh my heart.
And she gets so excited, like she starts like sprinting around. And my nan will be like, I knew you were home because she went off.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, Millie, one of Mum and Dad's cats, knows the sound of Dad's car engine, and he's the one who feeds her. So if me and Mum are in the kitchen, like making some dinner or something, and her ears shoot up, and she runs to the front door, we're like, Dad's just pulled on the drive.
Yeah, it's the same with my dad's motorbike. It's like, oh, okay.
Random.
Phoebe heard
Pokemon
that
time.
a second before I did.
Masquerain.
Masquerain. That's a weird old Pokemon, right?
It is. That's the evolved from a Surskit from Ruby and Sapphire. It is a strange one. Maybe slightly forgettable, but that's just me.
This is always the fucker who I encounter and I'm like, what type are you? But I remember your bug, but what's your other one? It's fine.
Water. I know Surskit's bug water. See? Yeah. It's because the problem is as well is that Surskit is like a really rare encounter on like Route 3. That is so easy to miss. And it's really early on, and then Masquerain like appears like after the freaking 6th gym or something, and you're like, Nani?
I don't know why I thought this was a Sun and Moon Pokemon.
Ruby and Sapphire. Maybe you've
Does
seen
that-
it more in Sun and Moon, I don't know.
Possibly. Also, does the Team Skull guy have a Surskit by any chance? Masquerain?
He might do, he's a bug type user. I know
He is a
Golisopod is his
bug boy.
name.
If I can remember what that guy was called, hang on.
Guzma. Guzma. Masquerain can be seen as a counterpart to Araquanid. Both share the bug type and base stat totals. Both can be found in Melee Garden in Sun and Moon. Depending on the time, Masquerain can be found during the night and Araquanid's in the day. And you had Pokemon Moon, which meant your game was mostly nighttime, whereas I had sun, so it was mostly daytime. So I found Araquanid and you found Masquerain.
Sounds right.
There you go then.
Also, he does have Masquerain.
There you go then.
As a Masquerain, Godspod, Pinsir, Vivcavolt. And then a Skyzor as well.
Yeah, that's to be expected, Sizzle. There's such a funny moment in the Sun and Moon anime with Guzma's Skizor. I felt so bad for it. Because in the anime they did Golisopod's ability, which is where if it drops to half health, it will auto switch with another Pokemon. And that happens. So Guzma's Golisopod is fighting Ash's Incineroar, and Incineroar runs up and does a huge fire blast, and the Golisopod uses its ability and sends out Skizor, who is Bug Steel, and just literally pops out his Pokeball, looks up and goes, huh? And immediately gets knocked out by a fire blast!
It's a firefighting!
It's
so weak!
It's 4 times weakness and it just gets annihilated!
Honestly, that was my experience with Sun and Moon with Team Skull, because there would be all this build up to Guzma, and I'm a fire trainer. He was never a problem for me. I would come out of gyms and there would be like encounters where in the back of my mind I was like, this is like the kind of encounter where I haven't healed since the gym, so I'm pretty beat up. This would probably be a big problem. But not for me, because I have my fire starter, my boy Brandon, and he just annihilated. It got easier when the Sasuke evolved, because no more water types to stop me.
Yeah.
Poor bug boy. I love Team Skull, by the way. I think they're a great like bad guy force.
Oh my god, it's even on Boulderpedia. Scizor was the first Pokemon Guzma used in his battle against Ash in the semi-finals, where it went up against Torracat. After using U-turn, Scizor returned to its Pokeball and switched to Golisopod due to having the double type advantage. However, Golisopod later retreated from Fire Blast to send out Scizor without warning, leaving it no time to dodge or counter. As a result, Scizor took the full blast and was knocked out.
That's a bad day. That's a bad day at
I'm
the
so
office.
sorry for the Scizor, but it's so funny.
Fire Pokemon remain supreme.
Golisopod is such a dick of a Pokemon. It's also a coward because it does that.
Love it. I love me some cowardly Pokemon, to be honest. I love my Mimikyus. I love my Wishy-Washies.
Oh yeah, Wishy-Washi's
Oh my god, I forgot about Wishy-Washy. I love my Wishy-Washy. An absolute. Can I just say, my Sun and Moon team has some absolute units between Wishy-Washy and Mudsdale.
Oh yeah.
They are tanks
Yeah,
of
tons of
Pokemon.
boys.
Wishy-Washy is like the funniest fucking Pokemon to use because it's an absolute tank until it gets below 10% health and then it stops existing. Like the non-schooled version of that Pokemon,
So weak.
it could be breathed upon and it would perish.
That's the gimmick.
Yeah. Stronger as a team. But in my like lineup, I would have Brandon, Wishy-Washy, Mudsdale. So I would love it when my Wishy-Washy got like what's the ability that switches you out? Raw?
Yes, raw.
Or like some way scared off the field, and then just my Mudsdale would come out and be like, buddy, you've made a mistake. Hey, go. It may be more powerful, but that doesn't make it less cowardly.
Freaking meme. Oh, that poor Skizzer. Hello. I'm looking at references. Leave me alone.
Looking at references.
I'm looking at Masquerain.
Looking at memes. You're looking at memes.
The meme came up at the same time.
From smashing your head against a car to hitting it against a truck. I just read that. Yeah, my Sun and Moon team was no joke. I very confidently yeeted that notebook.
Mm-hmm.
I'm regretting my decision.
Yep.
I've just committed to letting Google autocorrect the shit out of this and then fixing it later. It's too much effort.
It's either reversal or revenge is the move that you're thinking of, Das. It might be reversal. I think revenge is for when... I think revenge does more damage if a member of your team has been knocked out.
Flashbacks to the Wobba Fett Mafia.
No!
The saddest fucking thing I've ever seen. cowardly little frog person that turns into James Bond. It's my favorite fucking description of Sobble. The
It is
what
accurate. It is
mafia?
accurate.
Hang on a second.
Sorry, there's a lot to unpack here in the last 5 seconds. Also, yes, it is reversal. Reversal inflicts damage, power is higher when the user's HP is lower. It's reversal, which is a fighting type move. Girls, pray tell us about the Wobbuffet Mafia.
Okay.
I've already had this story told to me.
I've definitely talked about this on stream before, but for those of you, I didn't watch all of it, but Mr. Sam Strippin and
Co.
number one Alex, a couple people, they did a Pokemon Nuzlocke randomizer for X and Y.
X and Y.
And I'm trying to find the clips, but it was like a little while ago. And was the first one? I think the first one was it was completely random. So he had on his team a Mega Aggron. It was permanently Mega Aggron, and he had, let's say, a rough time in this. They had like a screen that was dedicated to like a graveyard of all the Pokemon that had died, and everyone else had like 4 or 5, and they had to install a way for it to flip between 2 different pages because so many of his Pokemon had died. And he was having a rough time, but he had managed to catch this Mega Aggron, and it was like carrying, and he'd managed to use it to kind of grab some others. And it's the end of a stream. A couple of the others have literally left and gone to bed, and he's like, I'm just gonna really quickly, and he's literally doing the thing where you throw a Pokemon out and then swap it.
Switch
and
leveling.
He's leveling.
Hello.
And his Mega Aggron hits this Wobbuffet, and it doesn't die. It revenges, crits on that revenge, and one-shots his Mega Aggron. And that's how the story starts.
No.
Flash forward to the gym in the capital city in X and Y.
Lumiose?
And there's a big like Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, Lumiose.
Lumiose City. And I'm trying to remember what Pokemon it was. It wasn't Blaziken. I'm literally gonna have to search our DMs, Blue, to find out. Hang on a
Was it
second.
like a Flygon or something?
Oh, Flygon
Was it
sounds right. Hang on.
Flygon?
I literally just searched the phrase "sad as shit" and both messages came up. Saddest shit I ever saw. You want to see the saddest shit I've ever seen? Part 2. Yeah, Zenflux. Yeah, it was Mega Aggron first time.
I remember
Oh,
watching.
it
I
was-
remember watching that clip and thinking that is a broken man.
I'm gonna bring both of these clips to you, chat, but the second one was his Pyro.
Pyro.
It wasn't revenge, it was counter. That's the ability.
Oh yeah, because it's a Wobbuffet. Wobbuffet doesn't learn revenge because it's a fighting type move. No.
He's making fun of me. He literally just punched the light switch and I went. Who was that? Oh,
Please don't punch the fixtures.
I did. Shut up and carry on the stream. You're professional. Curly fries!
We do not come here for professionalism.
Chat, ignore me. Curly fries in a kimono by the looks of it.
It's a Hawaiian shirt, but close enough.
I know you were taking the piss out of the Japanese, but genuinely looked like you just looked at her and went, whore.
Alright, fair.
So sorry.
Oh, you gonna bring that up?
Yeah. Stanji's accidental racism.
Just stop. I do not want this on the stream.
It's not racism, it's just Stanji's stupidity. Your IQ is measurable in shoe sizes.
What, 44? That's still low. That's still low. Just launch the fucking game.
I love you, Stanji. I love you so much.
I don't know what you're saying, but just shoot me, man. Oh, I just shoved myself in the grave. Oh no, don't clip it!
Clipped!
Oh.
Stanji's come back. Bitch, I got an IQ of 44! Wait. That's a poor IQ for a glass of water, you pillock.
I'm dying.
We're here to derail your stream.
We were barely on the rails to begin
fucking
with.
done it, man.
To smirk. What's the fucking game? I don't want to talk.
Girls can't stop laughing.
Why do I
Shut the fuck up.
Like, I know how stupid I am and I still choose to be a dumbass.
This is like the outtakes of any Jim Carrey film where he does his bit and they're just sitting there laughing like, don't you smile, don't you dare smile, this is the 12th take, don't you smile. We almost had this.
The minimum IQ to join the army is 90. Thanks, Gore.
You're half an infantryman, a guy paid to die.
God.
Local man found too dumb to die. Anyway, I found those clips I wanted to.
Can everyone who has Stanji on Discord please send him pictures of shoes?
I am deleting my account.
I am no longer contactable. I am going into the woods.
I'm dumb. I'm so fucking dumb.
Yeah.
I knew what I'm saying is dumb. I still said it.
Look at her. Giggly bitch.
Stop it.
Yes, we have.
Careful, careful. He's moving the microphone. Enjoy background, friends.
Try to be as quiet as possible.
It's a good microphone. We were trying out this new game that Spook and Sanjay are playing now called Convoy, which is like a FTL meets Mad Max.
Alright.
So you got a big massive convoy, a la the big truck in Mad Max Fury Road. And you got little cars that flank it to keep it safe. So the big car's like your health pool, and you have to defend it as you travel across the desert. We had a random encounter at FTL of a group of raiders that were talking on the radio. And one of the raiders was like, we reach out and talk to them. And one of them said, like, "Pray sir, are you a major general?" And one of the options that popped up, it was like, you know, you have no idea what they're talking about, try to run away, engage them in a fight. And then the other option was, respond, I am in fact a modern major general. And I was like, and I literally interrupted, and I was like, oh, pick that one, I am in fact the model of a modern major general. And they were like, what are you talking about? I was like, it's a reference. Pick that option. And we won the encounter.
Hey.
It was the correct option.
I found the clips. They're in chat for people who want to watch a chronology of events.
Focus fire.
Do not Do not bring Modern Solus's version of that into this. You are not a very modern of a scientist, Solarian. Thank you very much. I don't want to think about that right now. I can't process it even after like 10 years. That does mean it was good writing. It also means that I'm a terrible person, unfortunately. Because I shot that boy.
Oh, it all comes out.
Yep. Renegade Shepherd is no joke.
Renegade for life.
Renegade is pain. It's do you want to play? Do you want to play a sad fucking story? You play Renegade Shepherd. He wouldn't let it go, Das. He wouldn't walk away. It's like I don't even know you. Okay, well you did know me a little bit because the first time I did it I had to reload and not do it because I was so sad. My first run of Mass Effect 3, apologies to people who don't know what we're talking about for a second. My first run of Mass Effect 3 I bought my favourite Shepard to play is a Renegade. But my first run of Mass Effect 3 was not a very good Renegade run because I was so sad all the time at the things I was doing that I restarted on a Paragon and then did it on Renegade later. Yep, that shit's too sad. I have so many fucking poems in here from when I did Escape Room. This poem was clearly meant to be like a full thing, but it's almost funnier just as like I clearly intended to write more of this and then I just didn't. But it's almost funnier as it is, because it just says, I wake this morning and think, I should write. I pour myself a coffee in my grandmother's kitchen and watch birds. And that's all
That should be the opening. That should be the opening one. That should be your opening one.
It's like the acknowledgements bit. That's the most honest thing I've ever written. Oh my god, I found all the pages of when I was planning my Final Fantasy run. Because I drew that shit out. There's a scale. There's a measured scale in this.
Oh wow.
Because it turns out when you're glitching stuff to an elevated area, you have to have everything laid out exactly as you want it. And then glitch it. So I had to work out everything and how many things I could realistically fit.
Yeah, I'm probably
on
gonna
the
leave.
two platforms.
I'm probably gonna leave housing to when I'm more sort of in end game and don't have other stuff I should do.
That's what we did. Highly recommend. It's actually not too bad. it's one of those things when you explain it and when you look back on it, you're like, Jesus, that was so much work. When you're doing it, you're like so focused on the vision that you have for the space that you don't register how much of a pain in the ass until it fucks up, and then you're like, oh.
Screw this, I don't want to do it anymore. Oh,
Yeah.
health check from Cole.
Health check.
Pit stop.
This is a list of spells. Whose spells are these?
Spells?
D&D spells.
What are they?
It's definitely a cleric. Oh, yep. These are Vandalus, yeah, the Lord of Silver's spell. Summon Celestial gave it away.
Yeah, that'd do it. I was like, it's not flare because you'd know immediately if it was flare because of all the fire.
It'd be all the fire and divination. It's all flare stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you, Besso. I put a lot of work in to get that to do that. Thank you for noticing. Yeah.
It makes it all worth it when someone notices.
Yeah, the reason why. Thank you, Besso. It's all hard work. I do this almost every day. First time someone's noticed, so thank you. Vandalus' spell. The reason why these are written out is because Vandalus' spells were really hard because he doesn't have any. He can't do damage to things. He can have nothing offensive that is directly offensive. So finding spells, making a full spell list for a reasonably moderate to high level cleric that doesn't include anything that does direct damage to a target is actually weirdly hard.
D&D is built that way.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're gonna end up wanting to at least do a cantrip against someone in a fight.
The cantrips were the hardest part, if I remember.
Yeah, at the end of the day, there's not a lot. Like, mending,
Yeah, it's
guidance.
easier. It's easier for a cleric because there's things in here like heal, commune, find the path. You know, like there is a way to do it.
Uh-huh.
But it's tricky and took some planning. I'm just checking to make sure there's no more poems in here I meant to retrieve. Hey, this is the big piece of paper that was me working out what Vera's full fucking name was.
Oh, I need to put Scribble on Toy House. So we can link them.
I forgot that that's what her name meant. Her name, for anyone who is curious, means Dark Lover Heir to Mystery. Vedra Osvar.
Very fitting.
There's just a recipe for honey cake in here? What the fuck?
Let me try some. Gib.
This actually worked out really well. The reason that I think I know why this isn't because this was a recipe that was in cups, so I had to translate it. And then I wanted to make half as much, so I'd had to translate it and then half it. Dino Mayo, what?
Dino!
Oh, this is Stardew Valley.
Oh, okay.
I was like, Dino Mayo? Void Salmon? What the fuck? Stardew Valley. this is me working out how bad it would be if I let you guys all use Tasha's stuff in Oakheart.
We need your fuel.
If you do end up being able to come to the UK for a bit better, we have to hang out, even if it's for only a day.
This is a big page about all the ships that Posey's involved with.
That's easy best so because I don't drink. I'll bring the tea.
Ah, yes. I was like, good, right, that's everything in here. And then I just opened the back page and it just says, people that cannot murder me. Elsinore's a great game.
It's a bold statement to make.
People who cannot murder me, brackets, and thus are safe. Then there's that section, and then there's a separate section that says, people who are sus. In all caps.
Among Us has ruined our generation.
Yeah. Horatio brackets, unfortunately. I like Horatio, okay? Both in the play and in Elsinore. Fuck, I need to finish that game. That game's so good. I can't remember why I didn't finish that. Oh! Yep. Among Us.
I'm sorry, but just reading through the chat briefly was like having a stroke.
Yeah, there's a lot happening in there. Welcome to more poetry scavenge. Which list, As? All of them? What, people who are sus, people who cannot murder me? Mayhap. Oh, these are some old notes. This book might be a little bit too old. Me working out all the Fallon's War people.
Animal Crossing's getting an update. Wild.
I, confession, have legitimate like anxiety about my Animal Crossing game because I haven't touched it in so long that I'm terrified Like, for as long as I don't touch it, it's fine. But the idea of going back...
Schrodinger's
and
village.
Yeah, yeah, if I don't look at it, then everything is fine. And all my villages are still there.
I think they did remove in New Horizons that villagers will just leave if you don't turn up.
I hope so.
I think that was something they removed.
Because I remember when I was younger going back to my games and being really sad that my villagers left. They don't leave. They don't leave. Thank God. But they're all gonna say shit like, we haven't seen you in 95 months. Yeah, I've had a couple of them where I've been like, don't go. There's like an upsetting amount of Stardew Valley math in here. Oh boy. Oh my god, the back of this, I think it's when we were trying to work out what to name our free company in Final Fantasy.
Oh really? Yeah, we went through a few in name
Blood of
iterations.
Beyond, Dicing with Dragons, Blood, Sand and Beyond. Roll with it, Kupo. Tomberry Timeout, Seven Dragons, D&D Waiting Room, just roll with it. The Layered Sky, Rolling with Pop,
The Layered Sky.
Blood of the Prince Heart, the Prince Heart, because he's the character limit. Low Whiz Support Group. And in the middle is just Fighting Dragons, circle in the middle.
Yeah, I still like that one.
Fighting Dragons is a great one. It's got layers to it.
Yes, it is applicable for both the game and our hobby.
Yep. Oh Jesus, I did find poetry in here, but it's that time where I got stuck during Escape Rule. When I got stuck during Escape Rule, so I just wrote poetry about Dragon Age. Okay, now I go into where I really know the poetry actually is, which is into my into my notes. My notes on my phone. Because I've been listening to Sat here in silence. What the fuck? put Fignier's playlist back on. Yo, I've been working on a Fignier's playlist. I really like it.
Ooh.
Making it not sad has been an active challenge.
I wouldn't even know how to start a playlist for Exa.
I have like a really defined character idea. Like she's fully formed in my head. I think. Whereas I feel like X is still a little nebulous for you.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
But then to be fair, I've had a lot of time with no plot to think about it. I could make you a playlist that's just songs that vaguely reference guns and explosions. I have like a subtype of my music that I like that's all just that.
Oh my god, I advanced the story a little bit the other day and I got the victory.
Hey, that means you're about to get Battle Stance as well.
Yeah, I believe I
Like,
got that as well.
basically straight
The
after the other.
Dragoon victory
It's
is...
really good.
As soon as I got it, I was like, oh, I have to go outside and see what this is. I clicked it and I was just like, that is so extra. It's so Dragoon.
Backflips for days.
Just do a backflip.
When I did Palace with the squad and I played Dragoon and I got it actually into Dragoon levels, not just in Lancer levels, I just, every time we were idling, I just started pressing it because it's fun just to be like, wee, wee.
It was so fun. So be prepared for me to do that all the time.
Between getting that and Fenrir,
It's a good time in FF14.
it's a good time to be Exa. I'm still, every time I open our DMs, I'm still so fucking proud of that photo I took of
That
Exa.
screenshot is so nice.
It's really good.
It's so nice. And Nero's was really nice as well, and I was away from my computer at the time.
Yeah, you were AFK.
He flew up, found me, took a really dope screenshot, and then left before I'd even got back to the computer.
I know. By the time after he posted it, we were in a voice call together. Yeah, there's a. Oh, okay. There's a lot of good like Warrior of Light questions that go around Twitter, and it's been fun to like build some of that. There was one. This is actually a fun one I can actually talk about as well. There was one the other day that was what would be the thing that gave away if like a doppelganger or like someone illusorily looking like your Warrior of Light, what would be like the thing that gave them away to your Warrior of Light's friends? And that is so much fun to think about with any of your OCs. My answer was like the twins would know right away. They would just know. It would be something to do with like nicknames or like the level of formality. It would be like a little too informal or a little too formal. It would give him away. She would give them away straight away. It's like no, she doesn't call Alpha no, Alpha no. Gwen Star would be super calm.
I feel like that would be a similar thing for Exa. It'd be like trying to be too stoic because Exa is
I feel
secretly
like-
a
yeah.
huge nerd.
That's legit.
She's
Like,
secretly a huge. It's like when it's
or
Azure
like
Dragoon
too keen
time.
on her job.
Yeah, when it's
like,
Azure
too
Dragoon
about
time, she
duty.
can be serious, but anybody who's like her friends and in the free company knows that she's a massive nerd.
Basically, if if they say anything that's other than like, you want to go kill a dragon right now, if they're like, yes, it's like that's not. They show no resistance to that idea. That's not Exa. The Chocobos would give away Exa's duplicate.
That's true.
They
The
would-
birds would give it away.
That would be the free company test. It's like something's weird about Exa. Well, Exa how about you go check on the chocobo? Something was up with Achilles, and Achilles just immediately, all the birds immediately start like stumping their little feet.
Yeah, just start
That'd be like,
scraping the
that's not
ground.
fucking Exa.
Just the person takes one step towards and like 3 chocobos all just sort of go and they're like, oh, okay.
Who the fuck are you? Why are you in our house?
Because Exa, much like me, because this is something I've actually done now, I'm keeping a list of all of my race chocobos. And there's literally no reason for me to do this, but I am doing it. I've got their name, their gender, and their plumage colour noted down.
Is this the part where I tell you that Storm Countess is level 40?
Oh, I've been to level 40 twice.
Yeah, but like,
That's breeding level.
I don't know what to do now.
That's breeding level. Gotta find her a partner.
Historically, this has always gone well. I should have done it before I logged off the other day, actually.
My little baby's gone back to like level 2 now.
The thing is, like, I keep needing to win races, so Storm Countess being really high level is actually helping, because I can max out some stats and actually win.
That's fair.
Whereas I'm like, I will have Choco Babies, but not yet. I do not want the Storm Countess to have babies. It's much too late for that, my friend.
It's okay, I'm working on reversing that.
I'm working on it. Shame. Phone notes are such a journey. There are some notes in here about certain OCs that I'm like, the way you said that, I'm just thinking, did you watch Jess, did you watch the edit of Sister Showdown, the Dimension 20 thing with Caramel dancing over the top of it? All the way through.
The what? The what?
So Blue, you know I sometimes send you meme comps of Dimension 20 shows you've never watched and I've
Yes.
never watched?
And you
So-
didn't send me the one that has caramel
On
dancing in
Twitter.
it.
I put it on Twitter, and it's a really good edit. It's not just like layered over the top, like it's edited to be funny. This is what I have gathered about this scenario. The party, the house party. So there's a Dimension 20 show called Fantasy High, which is exactly what it sounds like. And there's this character in it. I know nothing about them, except that they fucking hate their sister. And there's one where they go to a house party where there's like a rule, like it's a house party that gets really out of hand. And there's a rule where there's, I'm assuming there's teams, and one person has to be in. No, I think it's just of all the people at the party, someone has to be invisible at all times. And if anyone manages to stab that person, they have to drink. it's a drinking game. And so someone,
With
I
stabbing.
will put it in chat for anyone who wants a fucking hilarious time. It was a whole episode, I think, of just this house party encounter. And someone has edited it to be maximum chaotic. Caramel dances over it. There's parts where it like fades in and out, and it's so fucking funny. You don't need any context for it. I certainly don't have any. And I probably, much like the Telemine pronouncing things video, I probably watch it every day. Hopefully this doesn't link halfway through. But yeah, that's the reason you said, but they're so annoying. I'm just, I can hear Brennan in my head being like, you're so fucking annoying. Yeah. Yeah, I'm assuming from this edit that there's a part where the two sisters that would literally hate each other are both invisible at the same time. It's just madness. It's madness. I should have sent you that for serotonin. What the fuck was I doing? Also, that link does link halfway through. Hang on, I'll put it back to again. Hilariously, that links to the part that I'm talking about. Yeah. I've just been watching a lot of out of context meme compilations of D&D games that I'm not in or never watch.
I'm clicking this link so I have it later.
Yeah, I demand when we finish this here, I demand you put your camera on Discord so I can watch it with you.
Sure.
Because you're gonna fucking lose it.
Mostly because I unironically love Caramel Dancing, and I think it's
It is peak comedy.
I
in the
think it's
video.
wonderful that it is now resurfaced about 14 years later as a meme.
It'll never die. It'll never die.
I just discovered a brush that is pure magic.
Always good to find.
Look at this. This is gorgeous.
Tapping in, what? Oh, damn.
Like, that is just beautiful.
It looks like, I have a picture over there of it, but you wouldn't be able to see. Maybe you would. This child art I did, where you do it with the blowing bubble circle with ink in it.
Does.
Has that vibe?
Yeah, Dust can read me right away. I was like, yeah, that's a Kika and Kerok effect.
The burbs, a burb
That's
brush.
for the birds. Did somebody say dreams?
I sure did.
Yes, girls, we know.
Good night, everybody. I've just been assassinated again. I don't know why you said that, Das. He's not a burb.
The truth is
Wait,
out there,
I think-
everybody. I'm allowed to speak about it. Do you want to
We've
speak about it?
established
Because
that
we've
Kerok is
not
not a bird.
we've not spoken about it since Wednesday. So,
No.
would you have any comments you would like to make?
No. I'm honestly pleased this is what this is because, as I said, I think to Das and Kay, like, when you know there's something up, but you don't know what it is, man, your brain makes the worst fucking... My brain's like, okay, what about the worst possible things that this could be? And this is, like, very on... Like, yes, it reads for you. I'm glad it has worked out this way.
I know that it's very on brand for me, but as I said at the end of the campaign,
No,
wasn't technically my idea.
It's on brand for you, but not in a bad way. Like, it's not...
I'm sorry, hold up. The and this is in the game that Spokesman, I've just been elbowed. You met an NPC called Andy, who said his girlfriend got kidnapped, and you've just discovered that said girlfriend was called Elizabeth.
Welcome to Mad Max, bitches. I'm gonna wear some leather and chains.
I dislike this. Should we sue?
Up the butt.
Is that your brand?
Carry on.
Oh, guys, I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted, but yes, carry on. Yeah, it wasn't technically my idea.
It's on brand, but not expected, if that makes sense. Like, it's still a surprise to me, but like, now I know, I'm like, oh, of course, right? I love it. I think it's great. Don't ask me what Posey's reaction is going to be, because I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
Yeah. Again, as I said, it was something. When I made Kika, it was just one of those things that I got like reminded of at the end, because obviously when Storm King's finished, we hadn't 100% decided on a sequel. So when Das just sort of added in this thing of Kirok and Tian get given a dragon egg by Samoshi, I was like, that's cool. And then like, you know, a year later when I'm making Kika, I was like, wait, that's the thing that was canon.
Yeah, I have questions, but they're all questions that I think I would have in character as well.
Fair enough.
So I will hold on to them. And they will probably come up whenever we play next.
And come up naturally, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, of course. But like, of course. It's so fun. It's so fun to play a character who really doesn't know anything. Because Posey doesn't know shit about dragons. She doesn't know anything about dragons. She knows a lot about some terrible, terrible things, but dragons have just not been on her radar. So like, I mean, she didn't even know that dragons could shape change until she had that conversation with the moon that one time where he was like, "Yeah, you've spoken to a dragon." And I'm like, "I have," which now makes a lot of sense. Because I had guesses about who that was, but I didn't guess Kaok.
That's funny to me, because I'm sure in that scene I was desperately fighting to keep
Oh,
a poker
I have
face.
watched it back, and you sure were making some faces that I didn't rig up on.
Yeah, I'm
But
sure.
I think, do you know what's hilarious? I think I saw you making those faces, but I think I thought that me and you were on the same page.
Because
about
we
who
were
it
both
was.
like, who the hell was the dragon? Whereas
Because
I was actually going, oh my god, is the moon gonna reveal?
Well, I thought straight away, I was like, I know who this is. And I thought me and you were on the same page. But obviously we weren't, because I did not guess Kaok.
Because I actually knew who the
Because
dragon
you actually
was.
knew the answer. Which is hilarious now. Yeah, the moon likes to do that kind of shit. There are many things that the moon has told me before the rest of the party has found out, even though we have found out very quickly afterwards. The moon is full of secrets, and occasionally we'll give them to Posey with no context, and Posey's too dumb to know why they're important. Who did I think? I thought the dragon was the guy we met in Bryn Chantar who had all the stuff. Because the explorer Indiana Jones character, because my brain was like, oh, it's like a dragon horde. That was my logic.
Nope, that's just another OC inserted into a campaign. I know, I'm joking, that's why I stuck my tongue out.
Yeah, Fast is the OC.
I know.
I was thinking about Fast the other day. Not in like an exciting way, Das. I was thinking as I do about Prosper, which I can't talk about much, because we don't know much about him in game. But I was like, oh yeah, like made those connections together. I was like, oh, interesting. People Prosper had worked for. Is what I'll say. Is what I was thinking about. There it is.
Dare it be.
Okay. Don't be a dick. I like how you constantly get towards the die. It's not a lot, but it'll keep us running and I can probably find some.
Whew. I find some bangers in my notes folder.
Teeth, 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 teeth.
Teefs, 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 teefs.
Teeth, 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 teeth.
Things in my notes are that are about Paya. You're not helping things. spent forever looking for this poem. I finally fucking found it. Street. Oh no. I tried to. Do you remember that I wrote a poem for Escape Room, and I really loved it, except that its core premise was about a bird fact that turned out to be wrong.
Oh right. Yeah.
I tried to take
remember that.
the middle of it out, because I really love the middle of it. I could take out the framing, and then I was like, this is fine, it could stand on its own. And then I read this one line, I was like, that no longer makes sense. Shit. So now I'm trying to find a way to put it back in. Speak a sec, I can't tell if I've turned my volume down or all the way up.
Hello, you alright?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
I have a volume control on this headset, like where the mute thing is. And it's very like as a wheel, and it's very sensitive.
Oh,
so
mine's the same. Mine frequently gets knocked by Sadie.
Yeah, I nudged it and I was like, wait, I don't know which way is up or down. So I just turned it all the way to a side, and I was like, I don't know if I've just muted Blue or turned it all the way up. I think that's a reasonable Ishgardian fear, to be scared of dragons. I think any reasonable Ishgardian is scared of dragons. If anything, the Ishgardians that are not scared of dragons are exceptional. Looking at you, Emmerich and Estonian.
Another reason why Exa as an Azure Dragoon is a very interesting choice. I'm not from Ishgard, so I've not had the fear of dragons bred into me.
I don't have 1,000 years of lineage of being terrified of dragons. Thank you for your contribution to this discussion, Cole. I might have to take a break from what I'm doing to dig into this bird fact.
Maybe. What is said bird fact?
It's about the furcular bone, I think. Let's see if I can find it. I closed it because I thought I could move on. It's happening. I'm doing research. Hang on. I think I read somewhere that the wishbone, the furcular, if it broke, birds couldn't fly. But I think that's not true. I've ended up already in a summary of a paper, and I take a moment of appreciation for this line. During the evolution of turtles, whose relationship to other reptiles remains a subject of debate.
How did Trodan end up in Ishgard as a bunny? Since that, because they're from forest/mountains. How did he end up there? little like groups that the males form. That makes sense.
Taking a break from looking at Focus, things to check something about Viera.
Pretty sure that's the thing.
It is, yeah.
The
I'm
men
trying to.
form little clusters.
I did 24 steps ahead of what we were talking about. You are correct. Yes, they are from both. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That would. Because my brain was like, there was a group of Ura that ended up in Ishgard as well, and they were fleeing the Imperial invasion of Doma. And I was like, wait, yeah, the Viera are from Damaska, which is also under Imperial rule, so that would still read with the same logic. It didn't end so well for that group of Ura who went to Ishgard,
Yeah, I
because they're
imagine not.
dragon people.
Yeah.
You want to know
Yeah.
more about that? Do the Dark Knight quest.
Yeah, but the Vera probably would have been fine.
They would have been.
Refugees.
Or at least more okay than the
Yeah.
Urawa. Honestly, if you need you need like a narrative reason to have to flee Ishgard. Ishgard just doesn't like people who aren't Ishgardian. Like, that's proven time and time again.
The only reason Exa can put her foot down is because she's the Azure Dragoon. She's also a Mikote, so there's just people just like, why should we listen to you? And then she turns around and slaps them.
I beat your Azure Dragoon in single combat. Shut the fuck up.
Basically.
Also, you got that Fortom backing. No one fuck with the Fortom.
Oh yeah.
They my boys.
You need to get used to that, like you block your arm, stun back out top so he doesn't deal main damage to that one. There's a few of them. I'm just gonna need to target, go up like around the front and target them. Focus fire, yeah. Nice, alright. Jesus, you're gonna need to. Oh no, okay. Just one more is attacking. That guy has too many guys to attack. That guy at the bottom. Just attack the dude with the guns. Keep the ball going then, because otherwise it's gonna burn himself to death.
Have discovered that bird fact is incorrect. Many birds lack a furcula entirely. Australian scrubbards and bushbirds are unusual examples. It's also absent in a wide array of birds in other orders and families. Some toucans and South American barbets, some owls, some parrots, turacos from Africa, and the mesites of Madagascar all lack a furcula but are able to fly.
You know, so I think this was a piece of his knowledge unlocked in my brain. I feel like freaking years ago when on Agco, when AJ and Breos and stuff were shut inside the silo, and they had that phase where they kept capturing people.
I'm very familiar,
You were
yes.
one of them. You were one of them. I was
Yes.
one of them. I think one of the questions that Max as Braios literally bent down and asked Blue was, "Do you have a vernacular?" And both me and Blue at the time went, "I don't even know what that is." I think
It's
that
a wishbone.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
She probably would have made an ominous comment about breaking one to
Yeah,
make a
that's the
wish.
thing. It was, do you? I remember that during that role play, Braios asked, "Do you have one of these?" And I remember that me as a person didn't know what the word was, and I feel like when I looked it up earlier, it was something to do with the collarbone or the breastbone that birds
Circular part
that
of
birds
the-
have.
It's part of the clavicle.
Yeah.
So yes, confirmed. Third fact is wrong. I'm just going to reword it because wishbones have their own connotations. I don't need this to be scientifically correct as much as I do superstitially correct. Honestly, sometimes that's part of the challenge, Steph. Be like, I just want to make this character not like this character. I've definitely had that with, I keep bringing up Pyre, I'm so sorry, he's just on the brain. But like, I have a lot of Pyromaniac characters, so it's like, how do I just not make him another Pyro? How do I not make him like Kells, or hell, how do I not make him like Caleb Widowgast, or any of the other Pyro characters that I know? My main answer to that was just to make them less sad. Yeah, but that's making a different character for. I still want the Pyromania. I need to sift out the other stuff and keep the core idea.
Yes, it's not about the idea; it's about the execution. I suppose really it's worth thinking that even if he is quote unquote from Ishgard, Trodain is still a Vera, so really he would logically be raised very differently to how Thane would be in the situation, because obviously Thane is from a noble background and Vera are clans and tribes that live in a forest, so even if they have gone to Ishgard, they're still Vera, so they would still have that
And
society.
Yeah, and it's worth drawing a distinction between Ishgard and Kurthus. Is he from Kurthus or Ishgard? Because that's different.
True, doesn't have to be from Ishgard itself.
It's like, for me, I think when Iphignia arrived from Doma, she was still a teenager, and she lived in Thanalan, not in Uldar, for a while. Kurthus, yeah. So that's a very different upbringing.
Yeah.
Because the wilds of Kurthus are hostile as fuck. And constantly contested ground with the heretics of Dravania.
Yeah.
Like,
so that immediately makes them totally different character-wise. Even if personality-wise you're like, they're friendly, it's like, yes, but they're friendly for different reasons. That friendliness comes from different things, so
they have different limits.
Yeah, that's how you make the distinction. Kirok and Kika are both friendly, but they are vastly different.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Lean into that bunny.
Yeah, they are prey animals at the end of the day.
And also, like, yeah, if you were raised in the hostile areas of Kurthus, I would expect you to be quick to run, because, again, the area is contested territory. You probably don't want to be you need to be out of an area quickly if that comes under attack by Dravanians or whatever have you.
I love that on the Mikosi page it literally says like their quick reflexes and elongated canines are indicative of their predatory origins, and I'm just like, yep. People look at them and go, haha, cute cat boy, and it's like, in the lore, these things are descended from murderers.
Descended? You fuckers are murderers.
Yeah.
All you cat boys are murderers.
Yeah. It's like, we got the Mikose who are the hunters, and the Vera who are the gatherers.
Not that every VR I've met in canon would fit that.
Yeah, I know. Oh my god,
But-
could you imagine how Trodain would be around Exa? He wouldn't be able to help it. He wouldn't be able to help himself.
Trodain would be terrified of the Dragoon Kitty, yeah.
So, looks at the picture that I drew of the red eye, just like, yeah.
Fucking cluster, yeah, same thoughts. Same thoughts.
I think I've leveled up in teeth.
Yeah. It's a skill set that you're building.
Drawing fangs.
Fignia's just like sat there in the FC house going, what is going on between you two? Just very confused.
Actually just sits there with like her pupils wide and the tip of her tail twitching, and Trodain's just there, it's like, she's doing it again, and she's just like, what? I'm just sat here.
Fignia just gives Exa a look. It's like, what?
I'm literally just sitting here.
Our FC is such a fuck. Like, all our, like, characters of this FC are just a mess, and I love it so much.
It's about the D&D found family trope.
Yeah, it's like, we have a Joe Dragoon trending to the Chocobos, who's low-key scary, but generally just sweet. Skittish Bunny Paladin.
Don't fuck with me, I will fuck you up.
Skittish Bunny Paladin. Limson, Ura lady who likes to blow shit up and go boom. A disgraced Sky Pirate captain who may or may not have amnesia, and her first mate, who's also a blue mage. Like, this is just the ones off the top of my head. First mate, who's a blue mage, who's also probably either been taken or is part of the Fae.
Oh yeah, that old chestnut.
Yep. And then Infignia's in charge. It is Infignia the most normal one?
It's hard to put a label on normal in Final Fantasy
Whoops.
universe. I think it's hard to put a label on normal in the Final Fantasy universe.
I think it's just because she's like a mum character. She's kind of got a parental energy. So she's just like a little more sensible than everyone else. Also, yes, Dasso Senate is very good. Yeah. She weirdly makes she's in my head, she like is contextually so different as Warrior of Light and not Warrior of Light, because as Warrior of Light, all her like aesthetics and everything become like celestial and powerful and prophetic. But if she's like just a person, she's essentially just your friend who's too into astrology, who also wants you to take care of yourself, who's confused by pretty much everything. How does Iphigenia meet Trodaine? This is always an interesting question, is how Iphigenia meets everyone in the FC.
We already know how she met Exa.
How she met Exa has been established, I believe.
Yeah, Exa crashed into the snow near the astrological tower on the back of a dragon, and then passed out in the snow.
we established this, didn't
Yeah,
we?
she passed out in the snow, and then Iphigenia healed her.
Yeah. How did she meet Trodaine? I'm assuming from what you've said. I mean, we could say because Iphigenia started as a thaumaturge in Uldar. So if Trodaine and because if Trodaine's canonically a paladin, I'm assuming, that could be that could be a thing because the Thaumaturge Guild is not ever in trouble with the Thaumaturge Guild does get in trouble pretty often with various authorities in Uldar. So Trodaine probably knew Iphigenia pretty early on. Trodaine might have known Iphigenia before she started studying thaumaturgy, even, because she lived in Sunland for a while. Because even though I'm not leveling it, Iphigenia canonically has some more levels in Weaver, because that's what I think she did between arriving in Eorzea and deciding to actually be an adventurer. She did a bunch of it. She made fancy outfits for rich people. I have all this shit in my head. It's pointless, but I have it in my head. So yeah, Trodaine, she could have known Trodaine forever. The funny one to think about is Lulu, because no matter where you think that, wherever you think that Iphigenia met the Skype Captain, it's so funny. Yeah, I don't know why. I hope you will forgive me for this, but when I'm thinking about like the FC as a group, I'm always thinking that X is the Warrior of Light. Like of the squad, of the whole squad, I'm always like, oh yeah, X is the Warrior of Light.
I mean, I'm touched that you think that, because that leads you think that she has some kind of...
Same, yeah. Like,
aw, guys!
I don't know why. But I'm always like, when I'm thinking, because when I think of Iphigenia as the Warrior of Light, that's like my canon. Like, there's a lot there. That would be a whole stream on its own. Is going into all that. But like, when I'm thinking about like the FC family, X is always the Warrior of Light.
Aw, I'm really touched by that.
The Dragunio, yeah, exactly. Like it, I don't know. It feels like X's story in that moment. So take solace in when you are playing through main scenario that two of us think that for the FC that is the canon route.
Oh, I've punched so many people.
I would expect nothing less. Wait, Frog, are you implying that Gwyn meant Iphigenia by trying to rob her? Because that's hilarious. Probably.
Probably.
I am here for this, actually. She was brought up in a pirate city. That makes a lot of sense. It would make sense. It would be funny if it was the first time Iphigenia went to Limsa, because in my head, if I like put myself in her brain, like Iphigenia finds like the big cities apart from Gridania really overwhelming. So like Uldar and Limsa are really like a lot for her. So yeah, I can totally see her in like the hubbub of Limsa. Yep, I can see that happening. That would be really funny, actually. I don't know what's funnier about this, that we because now in this chronology that we've established, we don't encounter what we consider the Warrior of Light until like way later. Because this is like before Iphigenia goes to Curthus, like
Yeah.
time frame.
Yeah, so
Unless in this time frame she goes to Curthus earlier, that would actually make more
yeah,
sense.
because like in that instance, obviously in X's timeline, she doesn't go until Curthus until mid levels.
Mid ARR.
Yeah,
That would actually also make sense.
Well, she goes there slightly earlier than other people would because she goes there as part of Dragoon questline.
Right, yeah.
Because you know, when you hit level 15 or 30 or whatever it was, you change from Gridania to Curthus for Dragoon leveling.
Curthus Western Highlands?
Yep. So you start in Gridania for Baby Lancer, and then it's Curthus for Dragoon stuff.
And I mean, if this is a timeline where Iphigenia is not the Warrior of Light, we can do whatever the fuck we want to the timeline. Maybe she was never a thaumaturge for a while. You know, maybe she just went to the cities from the Astrologians Guild. I don't know. We can do whatever we want.
I will take a hammer and fix the timeline.
Because the thing is, in my head, in like the canon Iphigenia run, she starts off as a thaumaturge because she thinks that's the only way to help. Is being destructive, and then but she really wants to heal. She just doesn't because she is an Eldar. There's no healers in Eldar. So that's why that chronology happens. And then when she gets to Ishgard, because everything that goes down to get to Ishgard, she's like, no, I've been led astray. This is my path. And Astro is like her path. Like that's her whole character's built around that class.
Yeah.
So it's like her calling. But there's no reason in a plotline that isn't her being the Warrior of Light that she wouldn't go straight to it. Yeah, I kind of think of it in my head with the Free Company canon. This is happening now. That like Iphigenia met all these people, but there wasn't like a group going until a certain point. I don't know what that point would be. That she makes the FC, and she calls up everyone. She like does like a Avengers Assemble, where she calls up all the weird people that she knows, and is like, I think there's strength in numbers, and the world needs us.
That has a funny implication though, if Iphigenia's the one who founds the Free Company and is the one who goes Avengers Assemble, and the Warrior of Light turns up.
See, that's the thing. I'm not convinced that isn't why. Right? Like, she meets the Exa
Yeah.
and follows her trajectory. I'm not... How do I talk about this?
But again, because what we know about Exa, much like with the Azure Dragoon thing, it's going to be more of the, oh yeah, I'm also the Warrior of Light. just kind of thrown in at the end.
It's not her primary thing.
It's
just
just like, I'm Exa and I like to look after chocobos, and then after sort of like 3 weeks, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm the Azure Dragoon, and then after a month, it's like, oh yeah, I'm also the Warrior of Light, and it's just like, you should have led with that!
It's the Chocobo thing, the Azure Dragoon thing, and then someone going, hey, aren't you the Warrior of Light? It's like, oh yeah, I'm also that.
Oh yeah, I do that as well.
Taking on the Gallian Empire is one of Iphigenia's motivations. I don't think she would articulate it that way, but I think it would be her intent. Because Iphigenia does not like the Gallians. Because fuck the Empire. Any reference for a paladin sword? Take your fucking pick. There are so many. Ask Dast, I'm sure he has preferences. Cracks open the armory chest. Right. I need to decide what if it is canon is. Hey, Kay.
Hello.
No one was late here. It's fine. No one was late. Just as I literally did that shit. Wizard is never late, correct. I'm doing alright, bud. How are you? We're talking about Final Fantasy 14 timelines.
We're apparently establishing guild canon.
I guess that is kind of what we're doing, huh? I'm good. Final Fantasy, I'm in. Kay, did we ever decide how, if Igni is not the Warrior of Light, how she met the captain? Or did we just decide that it's just a nebulous event that no one's really sure how it happened? It just did. I find them equally funny. Hi, Naren.
Hello.
We started talking about the Free Company, and they just arrived.
Avengers Assemble.
Yeah. I think it's just something about her showing up in Mist, but I can't remember.
She
Maybe
just
that's
washed
Mist
up on the beach.
Yeah. It would read.
Excuse me, ma'am, you can't sleep here.
Knowing Iphignia, it would be more like she leaves to go and do something and sees this person washed up on the beach and is like, oh no, and like brings them into the house. Have the sacked covered potato. I do, as much as it's not entirely canon, I do love the image of Iphignia just being like the long-suffering master of the Free Company. It's just like, what now? Even though Iphignia in canon, like, she's more than, like, she wants to help, that's her thing. She is hyper worried. She is healing you even though you are at max health. She calls herself captain though you've never seen her captain a ship. Yeah, that makes sense. Because of your backstory reasons that I know. I know Lululushi's backstory. It's a good backstory to be fair.
Tonight has been teeth night. Teeth.
The idea of Shadane hiding behind Iphignia is fucking hilarious
Oh my
because
god,
Iphignia
it's
is
the blue,
tiny.
it's the Blue Knights concept.
Oh my god. Yeah, I just registered. That's how long it took me to register what you just said.
You remember it, right?
I'll never forget it as long as I live.
I am hiding.
Oh yeah. Summary kind of stuff. I remember. Right, yeah. Yeah, we did establish this, yeah. She was getting flashes of Varys' memory and saw Iphignia in the house, and so came to the house because Lulu, she's definitely not Varys, but with amnesia, and has been weirdly transformed into a potato.
I need to go top up my
God.
water.
What a flashback, Blue.
I know, right? That's a true retro.
You found that so fast?
Just because I knew where it was.
Go get water.
Yeah.
I'll keep talking about
Yeah.
the FC.
I knew exactly where it was, so I found it immediately. Alright, I'll be back stream.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a massive throwback. I'm assuming that the stream is muted, but holy shit, there are some sounds happening from Blue Zone. I can hear Spook, but nope. Spooks turned into the devil in my ear. Frog update. Fuck, that's really good. If those had glasses, that's so cute. Oh yeah, I'm saving that story for when Blue comes back. But yes, okay, you may. Naren, why have you done that to yourself? It's the size of the ears that really does it for me in that frog. That's a great question. I'm trying to remember. How do I visualize it in my head? Okay, legs minimum of 10 in my head, I think. How high off the ground is it? I can't give you like a number, but it is like from the top or from the base, because there's the main disc of New Nesrin, and then there's the under disc, and then the upper district. Which part do you want distance wise? Base street level? Again, do you want like the lowest possible point you can go? Yeah, sure, the lowest point you can go. Yeah. It's in the hundreds. It's like it's in the, especially from like the main disc. I'm trying to like convert my visual for the city into metrics, and I'm not very good at that. Fucking high is a good answer. It's okay. Yeah, fucking high. Okay, put it this way. The lowest point, you're still looking at like a 2 or 3 story, the top of a 2 or 3 story building. It's higher than Onethom City walls. Yeah, the lowest point of New Nesrin is higher than Onethom City walls. 100%. I wasn't sure. Onethom has some beefy walls, but they're not, and they're pretty tall, but then they're mostly beef. They're mostly like built to last because they got to survive some fucking winter storms. Onethom City walls are also hard to calculate because Onethom's not flat. You would have made a good Imperial Mechanist after all. Even though Zal is not particularly engaged in any Imperial Mechanist nobility meetings, a not insignificant amount of the noble families of New Nestran, they are talking about maintaining the legs. If one of them fell, probably not. If multiple of them fell, yeah, and everyone will probably die. Yeah. It would be like, to use a critical role. Oh, no, I can't use a critical role comparison. Kate, you know what critical role comparison I want to make, though. I got you. Cool. I hear blue noises, so I don't know if she's back.
I am. I pray return.
Hey, did you unmute yourself on the stream?
I did, yes.
I'm talking about lore with the chat.
Oh god, hang on, let me scroll back and catch up.
Oh my god, scroll back until you see the frog update. It's very important.
Oh my god, it's literally like what I sent you. Hang on, let me send it to Frog. That's hilarious. We clustered so hard. We clustered so hard.
Okay, I need to tell you something about. Okay, some backstory to what me and Kay are talking about. Today at 12:24 a.m., I am asleep. I get a message from Kay. It just says, question, can New Nestran float? I wake up at 6:51 a.m. What a question to wake up to, lol. The short answer is no. And then Kay doesn't get back to me until 1 p.m.
An hour
I
passes.
need you to know, Kay, that when I answered your question at 6 o'clock this morning, I thought you meant not as in flying float, but as in like if you put it in water, would it sink? And only upon this conversation have I realized what you meant. That is what I meant. Water float. I can dip me in water. Okay, cool. This is the second line of questioning. Okay, cool. I thought my 6 a.m. brain was having a real stroke. Cool. The cluster kept me going.
Well, we're probably fine. It's just fun by that mission. She'll probably predicted that the horde isn't going to be fortunate for.
Oh, like, could it swim? That's such an interesting. Such a New Nestran child. Such a New Nestran baby. It's like, oh yes, we have this magnificent walking city, but what if it could swim? I mean, like, if you could make it airtight, maybe. Like, sure, it has the mechanics for momentum, but not for survival, you know? If you made a giant air bubble around the entire of New Nestran, in theory it could become a submarine. And then it really would be... New Nestran has two inspirations.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is Howl's Moving Castle.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is an episode of Doctor Who called Starship UK?
I know the one you mean. The whale.
Yeah, the whale. And then it really
I
would
love
be
that
that.
episode. I love that episode.
Me too.
Only now that you've mentioned it did I realise that it inadvertently inspired a bit of lore from my homebrew world, because my homebrew world has a legend in it called the Legend of the Star Whale.
Yay. I'm assuming you could go in shallow water because long leg. Yeah, it would be fine. Yeah, to be honest, with most lakes it would be fine. Because it's big. It's high off the ground. It always comes back to Wales. That's the other solution you could maybe come up with, is if you just made the legs even longer. Put New Nesrin on stilts and maybe it could traverse the ocean. Yeah, I could do that. You are, much like Das is on Lothalm born and bred in my world setting, somehow you are New Nesrin born and bred. You are such an Imperial Mechanist, it's so funny.
I'm just a trash baby. I'm a fucking trash mammal. Slurp.
You're Red Fez. You're Red Fez born and bred. So that's a nationality all of its own, to be honest.
How do you identify? I identify as a problem.
Yep, that's it.
Is it my incorrect impression or did you cut me some greens?
I did, yes. Yes, they are for you. Because we don't use them often enough. My plants are growing too well. Which is a lovely problem to have.
I'm aware of your planned Boots of the Winterland racket. You two. I was made aware.
Ooh.
Look at that.
Hey. Nice.
I love the sketching of the ears. It's...
I'm loving the like lines that are going on here with the way the sword comes across and then the gun comes up.
Aw, okay. Thank you for cooking dinner. Yeah.
Good luck with the stream. Bye, girls.
Bye, Songles.
Says bye.
Don't stay up too late. 11. And stretch and drink and do all that shit. I'm fucking watching.
Health check from Stanji is easily.
In person.
Yeah.
No currency required. Do not give her a large sword, please. They've changed the way that Make Secret works on Spotify, and I'm concerned. Anyway, I realized that Fignius playlist was private. It's not anymore. I gotta craft something for Harry when I level up next, so big sword. No! That boy does enough. Don't give him a sword. Oh, baby. Small.
Aw, too small. we swim? Not a lot of water in the desert.
Frog is in full moon mode. It's like a shark.
We joked the other night, cause I don't think you were there. We were talking about ear shapes and stuff, and I said like, oh, technically Tala's ears are always like basically permanently back. If she actually perked them forwards, they'd also kind of look like rabbit ears because they're so long.
They're big, yeah.
They're long and thin. Was very, we were talking about like comparing like Tala's ears are like the same triangular shape as hers, but they're thinner and longer.
Yeah, they're a little more elfy
Yes.
than
For story reasons.
for story reasons.
For story reasons, there is a reason they are that shape.
You meant prosperity, but prosperity is correct. Why does he want? He needs good laugh material for his recovery. Same brain death.
since people are here, it's probably worth me saying if we do play D&D tomorrow, which as far as I know should be okay, I need to finish early. No running late.
Say that. Fox.
Elegant. Probably closer to 10 if I'm being sensible. Because obviously when we finish, we chat for a bit afterwards, and then I gotta lock up the flat and stuff before I go to bed, so if we finish at 10, I wouldn't be going to bed at 10. So probably closer to the 10 o'clock mark. We certainly try our best to start slightly earlier. We're not the greatest at that, and I'll raise my hand, that's often my fault.
I'm gonna be right back for that.
Okay. We'll probably finish up in a few minutes once we hit 11. She's AFK at the moment. if we take the, I mean, I don't know if we would make it canon or not in terms of the story canon, but given that obviously I have the Fenrir mount, if Exa has Fenrir, then why doesn't Trodain just have the griffin that's actually in Dusk Vigil? Like, whatever its name is, it's that one. Ophinicus? Ophinicus is how I would pronounce that. OP! A little OP. Ophinicus is how I would pronounce that. Hello!
I have returned. I have returned. I was going to make myself a hot chocolate, but I decided that was a bad idea.
Fair enough. Yes, then Spook has gone to bed and it is basically 11, so it might be
We can
worth
call it.
considering wrapping up, yeah.
I've done some good organisational progress. I've accumulated a bunch of my poetry and started putting them into categories, which is part of the idea of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote one today too, so
Yeah.
good progress over here.
Yeah. I feel like the most progress has been done on the teeth, but I have done a little bit of furring as well.
Big teeth progress today.
Big teeth. Yeah, a little bit of fur as well.
Yeah. Fluffier every day.
Yeah, because obviously the fur is the bulk of it, so that's just kind of being chipped.
It has got to that point where I feel that like really tactile urge of being like, I hate that I can't feel that.
Yeah, like a lot of these areas are basically just getting base colours down, but sort of around, particularly this bit of the neck I'm quite happy with, and the bit around the jaw I'm starting to get a little bit more
Yeah.
texturing, detailing in. Like I said, I'm learning to do it as I do it.
Das knows. It's the urge to pet. It's like, I know. It's like wanting to pet any fluffy wild animal. It's like, I know you hurt me, but I just
I just really
want to scratch.
I just want to pet a wolf so bad.
Fucking humans are so dumb.
I have pet a fox. I have done that. It was great.
I'm trying to think what the most dangerous thing I've pet is now.
Oh, if we're doing most dangerous, I've pet a... what was it? Serval? One of the little big cats. Yeah, it was a serval. Big ears, long legs.
Ah, right, yeah. Give me
Yeah.
a second.
I've pet one of those.
Python or cheetah? Does emu count?
Yes.
I was fucking terrified of that thing.
You should be. Nemo is not here to vouch, so we will vouch for him. Yes.
Yes. It was in the same enclosure as the capybara and the beavers that I made friends with.
Aww.
I was sat there with a big bucket of carrots and I was feeding the capybaras. This is what I did, I think, with the zoo. I was in a zoo, I should emphasize. These beavers are greedy fuckers. I was just vibing with the capybaras and these beavers are like, yo, you got carrots?
Yeah. I'd say that the cheetah's probably more dangerous than the elephant. It's like, yes, an elephant is dangerous, but it's less actively going to try to kill you.
This is not including, I've held many a snakes in my time.
Oh, I've held snakes.
I don't know how dangerous any of them were, but I'm chill with snakes, so I didn't really think about it.
Yeah, I've had snakes and lizards and stuff before. I had I had a little tiny chameleon just settle on my shoulder one afternoon, and I said to the handler, the handler was just like, he's quite content to stay there, and I was like, I kind of forgot he was there after a while. 'Cause
You are Rapunzel.
it wasn't quite my shoulder. It was like I was wearing a hoodie, so it was like the rim of the hood that it had clutched onto. And it
That's
was
very
just-
on brand for you.
and it was just kind of sat there, like he'd sat there, and I'd sort of started to go around to go look at the other animals. So I was like looking at some of the snakes and stuff, and I still had the chameleon with me.
Yeah, whereas snakes I've always got on with, but other reptiles tend to dislike me. Our bearded dragon fucking hated me.
Oh.
Yeah, other lizards tend to not. Not that I have anything against other lizards. I'm chill with lizards. I'm trying to think now. Penguins want your fingers.
I mean, that's just birds.
Yeah. Fucking chinchillas were a hazard to my health for a different reason. Let me tell you, we have to wrap up, but I'm gonna tell this story. When I was younger, because I really wanted to be a zookeeper as a kid,
Mood.
so I used to do. My local zoo did this thing where you could like basically shadow a zookeeper for a whole day. And I did it for my birthday, I think twice. And the first time I ever did it, I was a kid. We went in to go and clean this enclosure that was full of chinchillas. And we opened the door, and I think it was me. I think I opened because it was in two halves, and you had to like go over it. But I opened both halves.
Whoops.
If you've ever had to, for those of you who've never had to herd or catch chinchillas,
Amazing.
I can tell you it's a very difficult experience, especially when there are three very large, like industrial, you know, the fridges that open like chests.
Yeah.
You know, like they're designed to hold a lot of large food and a bunch of like sand and stuff. Like, but there was like clearance off the floor. They were on like pallets, which was exactly the same size as a chinchilla is. And there was like 25 chinchillas. Backstage in a zoo, trying to catch 25 chinchillas is one a day. They're fun. I have many pictures of me holding them because they are, like, sensory-wise, the best things to
Oh, yeah.
touch. But
You can't do
holy
much
shit,
better than a
catching
chinchilla.
them. You have my sympathies, you dumb fuck. I like, much as I am now, as a child, I was like not present ever. So I just kind of did things and wasn't really thinking. Fortunately, like, the back area, this was all like enclosed, so it's not like they could escape into the public,
Yeah.
but it was a
Yeah,
pain.
because that's how zoos are.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hit the save button.
Anyway, now that we have that story,
To me.
I know I have pictures. I think it's in that album over there. I will send them privately to you, probably, if I can
Nice.
find one of me. I've got one of me like holding a chinchilla, like.
Oh. I know that pictures were taken of me and the chameleon, but I don't know where to find them.
Yeah.
They might
I
be
have all
they
my
may be
new
backed up
pictures.
in like a folder somewhere, perhaps.
Anyway, let's end the stream.
Yeah, we're gonna end here.
Goodbye.
Oh,
There
wow,
may or may
that's-
not be D&D tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful timing, Spotify. Unfortunately, we are ending, so I'm gonna have to stop the bot before it starts.
Right. Goodbye, everybody.
Good night, everybody. We'll touch you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.